episode 49 of Bank to the Future Live. We're coming up on half a century, 49th episode that we're now doing right now. And I'm still in a hotel, still on the road. So I'm currently in the hotel room. And today we've got a number of different announcements. So I'll go over those shortly. But as ever, this is your opportunity to get your questions answered. So please do either tweet us, hashtag BFLive if you want to get our attention. Use the live stream in the YouTube that will be moderated with Famida, who will also be moderating and picking out your questions for me to answer during this call. Or you could head over to our Telegram channel, which is at BF_token on Telegram, and you can ask your questions there and we'll try and pick them out. Or maybe you're watching this on another one of the networks, but please do head over to one of those channels to try and get our attention. So the last few weeks, I've been slightly under the weather. I've been on a long tour. So we covered a report back in previous episodes of Bank to the Future Live on the state of crypto in the United States. And then I was at Satoshi Roundtable, and I unfortunately came down with a pretty bad cough and flu. So for the past few episodes, we've just been catching up and streaming some of those previous presentations that I gave in New York or in Miami or in some of the other places that we visited. So I hope you enjoyed those, and we haven't had a chance to take any of your questions since the last episode where I came on live a few weeks back. But today is your opportunity to get those questions answered. We've been really busy working on 5 really big deals that have come all at the same time. And we have different types of deals at Bank to the Future. We have ones that require a great deal of input in order to put together the PPMs, the private placement memorandums, and get it all signed off by, if we're going to do an offering in the US, then we need to get those signed off by the US broker-dealer team. And we've been working on 5 really, really exciting deals. One of them, we've been just on the cusp of going live about 3 to 4 weeks now, but every time we're just about to go live, the lawyers find a new thing that we need to cover and make sure that we cross all the T's and dot all the I's before we bring that live to you. But it's actually one of the most exciting deals that we've ever had on Bank to the Future. That's not to be construed as financial advice, but in terms of the exclusivity of the deal, it's a deal that's would be very hard for anyone to get in, and we managed to get ourselves on the ground, and we'll be bringing that to our premium members first, of course. So the way it always works on Bank to the Future is our deals go out to our premium members, which means that if you hold a minimum of 10,000 Bank to the Future tokens on your BnkToTheFuture.com account or connected to your BF wallet, then you get 48-hour priority access to the deal. And we imagine that this is one where priority access will be needed in order to get in. And obviously, due to certain restrictions in US securities laws, we can only take on a maximum of 99 US investors. So that will be available on a first come, first served basis. So this is where premium membership really helps. And also remember, by becoming a Premium Plus member, by holding a minimum of 100,000 Bank to the Future tokens on your BnkToTheFuture.com account or your connected BF wallet, then you actually get a Bank to the Future token reward for every $1,000 you invest. So if you were investing $10,000 in one of these deals, then you would also receive 10,000 Bank to the Future token bonus. So it's well worth making sure that you consciously decide what type of membership. And then also remember, if you're ever going to be placing orders on our secondary market, if you have more Bank to the Future tokens, then you pay with those Bank to the Future tokens, you get a 50% discount on all the fees on the secondary market. So the Bank to the Future token ecosystem is really coming into force now. And today we're going to be making further announcements on how we can make it easier for you to engage in the Bank to the Future token ecosystem so that you can take advantage of all those perks, whether it's rewards for investing through the platform, whether it's membership that gives you priority access to deals, or whether it's using it as a payment method and getting discounted fees on our secondary market. and also some of the other solutions that we're currently working on to really build out and enhance the BFT Bank to the Future token ecosystem. So we've got a number of announcements today. So let's pick off some of these right now, just pulling up my show notes. As always, if you've got a question, use on Twitter, #BFLive, or head over to our Telegram group, BF_token, and you can ask questions there. What I'm going to try and do on this broadcast is I still have a bit of a hangover from the cough that I've had. So if I end up in another coughing fit, I'm going to try and drink plenty of water throughout this. But I'll also try and mute myself if I end up in a bit of a coughing fit. But hopefully we can get through the 1 hour mark without too much coughing. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm drinking plenty of water during this broadcast. Okay, so announcements that we'll be making today. When I cover portfolio news, I'll go through a couple of blog links on new announcements that we got and new features that we got. But one of those is obviously in the links below. You'll have access to our public roadmap. That's a Trello board where you can see all the features that we're currently working on Bank to the Future and what's coming up. We've got a lot of different parts to our ecosystem. So we've been working very strongly on releasing a new homepage, for example, where you can clearly see the different products that we've got as part of the Bank to the Future ecosystem. In the description, you'll also see various different blog links as well. One of those, I'm going to be doing a demo today of the really easy way of buying Bank to the Future tokens through the BnkToTheFuture.com platform. This feature is not available to our US investors due to the clarification on certain licensing requirements that would be needed to offer Bank to the Future tokens to US customers. But if you're not a US customer, then this new Buy BFT feature will now be live on your account, and we'll give a demo today and also a link to a blog where you can see a lot more about how that feature works. And it's just a really simple way of you being able to get your premium membership, your premium plus membership, or additional Bank to the Future tokens should you wish to buy on our secondary, buy or sell on our secondary market and use your Bank to the Future tokens. So we'll be giving a demo of that feature live today. Just before we do that, I'm going to make sure that I'm all logged in to give that demo, because I don't want to be locked out and I have to figure out how to log in. So give me 1 second while I check I'm all good there. Yeah, so I'm all good there. So I'm just going to be going through and doing that demo once I've been through this. Okay, that's all working. The other thing is we're also sharing a new blog post with the new portfolio redesign. The portfolio redesign is our most commonly requested feature from our investors. We've had to work on a lot of back-end features in order to enhance the experience from things that you don't necessarily see from a compliance side, allowing us to do things faster and better. And we've had to reintegrate with several different banking partners and merchant processors. So that's put the redesign of our portfolio section on hold. But the development team, we've got a team now, and we're going to be releasing designs of how the new portfolio section is going to look. And you can add your comments and give us our suggestions and feedback on what you think. It's actually designed to address many of the questions that our investors have around tax reporting of their portfolio, understanding the value of their portfolio, being able to access updates in a timely fashion, understanding whether they're in a profitable situation or not, being able to quickly see how many dividends might have been paid, and all of the things that we know are important to our investors, and being able to access investor docs, investor share certificates. And it's one of the most significant pieces of work left to redesign on the Bank to the Future platform. It is a long task because there's a lot of features to be built out there, and a lot of assumptions around how you value a company that doesn't necessarily have a liquid public market. And that's a very tricky thing to do without misleading our investors and attaching a wrong value to it. So the assumptions around how we do that is very important. We understand what the types of things that our investors are looking for from all the feedback you've been giving us. And so we'll be releasing some new designs to try and really make that experience a lot better. The portfolio section of the account right now, as if you're not familiar with our history, we used to have a nice chart of all the value and everything. But when we had to change the entire structure of how our platform works in order to allow for a secondary market, it meant that we had to remove some of those features, rebuild some of those features from scratch. And the portfolio is the final section for us to be able to do that. Going to take a quick water. Okay, also remember, we have a new BF announcements channel. So below this, you can see that. That's where we actually announce everything that's coming up live. Obviously, as a premium member, you get announcements before everyone else and 48-hour head start on deals. And there are some deals that we can't ever announce because for regulatory reasons, you have to just be an existing member and a premium member to get access to those. But we do have an announcements channel on Telegram. The link will be in the description here. We don't have many people subscribe to that because we haven't promoted it too widely yet. But the difference between our community channel and our announcements channel is the announcements is just us pushing out announcements that don't get lost in lots of conversation, whereas the community channel is for you to engage with other members of our community, ask your questions, and really a lot of time the announcements can get lost in the conversation. So at least with the announcements channel, you can have a look at a complete archive of all our different announcements and what we've been doing over the time. We also make sure that you have stayed up to date with our new rewards and loyalty program for the Bank to the Future token. So the way that it works, very briefly, I have covered it earlier. If you hold 100,000 Bank to the Future tokens on your BnkToTheFuture.com account, then for every $1,000 invested on the platform in a deal, we'll give you 1,000 Bank to the Future tokens. Now, obviously, as the price moves, we'll change that accordingly. But that's the existing offering for those that are going to be more regular. So the more you invest through the BnkToTheFuture.com platform, the more rewards you'll be building up in Bank to the Future tokens, which can then be used to either pay for secondary market trading fees, they can be withdrawn, or they can be used in order to make sure that you're boosting up to the next membership level. We've also been looking at what we're going to be doing for the next levels of membership, and we've been actively looking at some really interesting DeFi, decentralized finance solutions that we can introduce products to for the Bank to the Future token for those of you that own 1 million tokens or 10 million tokens, for some of our more high-end users that are really invested or own tokens in the Bank to the Future ecosystem. So look out for that. We've got our premium membership now. We've got our premium plus, and we'll be looking at our next levels as the months go ahead. We're also discussing a new feature, which is going to be the final feature to take our secondary market out of beta. And that is that we've learned a lot in beta. And those of you that are using the beta secondary market, you've actually got a really interesting opportunity because we're going to be introducing a price floor on the secondary market for a couple of reasons. The first is that we've noticed that companies, when obviously a lot of people look for liquidity in their secondary market, but the way that private equity tends to work is that because you have to hold it for such a long time frame, some people are willing to sell at discounts, and it kind of can become a race to the bottom to sell at a discount, just simply because nothing to do with the company, but to do with the fact that people are looking to exit and they don't necessarily have the same time horizon. And so what we're going to be doing is introducing a price floor for a couple of reasons. Firstly, so you prevent that race to the bottom effect so that it doesn't mess up the primary markets. And that then prevents companies wanting to use our platform because they don't want, for reasons completely out of their control, the prices, going down, and then they're not able to raise their Series B or their Series C because this price becomes somewhat of a price for it. That's just simply not the way private equity works. You can start looking at those more natural market forces once a company's public, and then you have all the public market rules around trading. But also the fact that, you know, investors do want liquidity, but we want to be able to not have, you know, that bad negative consequences on the company. So in the meantime, at the moment, there is no price floor. We will be introducing that in the future. So it means that anyone that's engaging in our beta secondary market can actually snap up shares at a discount to many of the VCs that are investing in the underlying companies at the moment, because you'll be able to take advantage of that liquidity discount that the market very often has at the moment. But then we'll be introducing the price floor, and then that will mean that you can put a sell order at either the existing price of the last funding round, which would become the price of the underlying company, which is where all the VCs are investing, or you could do it at you could sell it at a higher price in case somebody missed the round and they want to get in and you want to sell at a profit. So we'll be introducing that fixed pricing into the secondary market, because we think that's a much better way for the secondary market to operate. And while we introduce that feature, it won't be for a while. People can take advantage, or our qualifying investors that are playing in the beta market can take advantage of the fact that there are some liquidity discounts, where you can get in, for example, in companies like Ripple Labs at a discount to what the VCs are actually paying, which is a really interesting opportunity. And then also, if you are a premium BnkToTheFuture.com member, by holding 10,000 Bank to the Future tokens, if you have more tokens, then you can pay your trading fees on the secondary market using Bank to the Future tokens. And that allows you to get a 50% discount off the trading fee as well. So really interesting opportunities. And buying on the secondary market is currently not available to US investors. So that's not something, this is just to the non-US investors that want to make a purchase on the secondary market. Also, we're really excited about the studio that we're currently being built. We've been talking about it for a while, but I've just been in hotel after hotel. We anticipate that the studio will be coming live in May. So we have a proper professional setup with professional microphones, professional camera, which just really fast and easily allows me to press a button and we're all set for BF Live. And also me creating more personal content as well. I recently released a video on my personal Twitter channel and YouTube channel, Simon Dixon. And it had over 10,000 views. It was very popular. So I released a lot more economic and crypto related content. And this is the show just dedicated for our Bank to the Future investors, our Bank to the Future token holders, our community. And so those are several things. And then finally, the only other announcements that we've got to make is we've been taking in a lot of feedback from you on our soft launch of announcing the Bank to the Future security token, BFXT, for our decentralized yet compliant security token exchange, BFX. And we will be reporting on many really great ideas that we had from taking feedback from new investors, existing investors, shareholders in Bank to the Future token holders, and various other parts. And we'll publish more and more content on how we plan to do that. We're in no rush to do that at this stage because we want to get it right. It's a very important thing for us to do right. And we're really excited about how the opportunities that come around as a result of having a utility token, which has a different effect to a security token, as one can be traded on a cryptocurrency exchange, the other can be on a security token exchange, and then also some of the effects that can have on our secondary market. So it creates some really interesting opportunities for people to engage, for our investors to gain exposure in many different ways to different parts of the Bank to the Future ecosystem as we look to usher in the next wave of security tokens and do that for more and more of our clients. So we're really excited about bringing further details as that comes through. Thank you for your feedback. It's been most useful in us deciding how to construct that. As the market is also, the crypto market, trying to figure out whether it's in a bull market or bear market, and moving into Bitcoin halving. We're going to see some interesting effects in the market. Okay, so a couple of updates that we've been seeing. I'm probably, for this section, I'm going to move over to my screen share so that we can show you some of the different articles. And let me just pull that up for you. So I'm going to share my screen and turn off my camera. So before we start jumping into some of your questions, we had a successful pitch close, which was a secondary allocation in our Robinhood SPV, which is a unicorn company. So congratulations to everybody that got involved in the Robinhood offering. That one's all closed. As I said, we're currently working on 5 different offerings, and we're hoping to put the first really exciting one live any moment now, as soon as that is signed off by our brokerage team. Here's where we said about the BF announcements channel. So we've only currently got 72 members. Our community is over 2,000. So we've got 85,000 qualifying investors now at Bank to the Future. And we look forward to more of you enjoying the Telegram announcements channel so we can make that more significant. So please check out the link and we'll make sure we get you those updates and announcements as they happen. Here was the screenshots of the portfolio redesign. Let me make sure I've got the latest version. So we'll be sharing a link to this blog, and you can see here that it will have a beautiful breakdown of your portfolio. You'll be able to see the profitability of your portfolio, the estimated value, the value at which point you invested, and some other further details there. You'll be able to go into each individual offering, and you can see some of the token pitches that you might have invested in the past and whether they've delivered those tokens or not. So we're separating the equity and the token side. And then once you go into one of those, you'll be able to get various different links to if it's on the secondary market where you can buy and sell, the investor zone where you can engage with the team, and also the company page, and you'll be able to see if they paid out any dividends, what the next value, what the estimated value is, the history of the transactions, how you actually paid, a place to be able to get access to that, the price over time at the different funding rounds, and also access to all the different types of documents, so your share certificate, the investment agreement, and any other documents that may be there. I'm just going to pause for a quick cough, 1 second. Okay. Thank you for bearing with me. If this has any indirect holdings, for example, those that own shares in Bitcoin Capital, it has a lot of indirect holdings, and any other external holdings that you might hold as well. So there's where you can see some of the screenshots. And again, you can click the link, go onto our Trello board and leave some feedback there. This is our new Buy BFT feature. So what you'll notice now, I'm just going into one of the demo accounts. You'll notice that when you go to the fund section, if this is enabled on your account, as I said, this is not enabled for our US customers for various regulatory reasons. You'll notice this new, next to the Bank to the Future token balance. So you'll have your USD balance here. Again, you can deposit there with either Tether, or you can use Tether on Omni or Ethereum, or you can just do a bank wire where if you click next, it will give you all the bank details to be able to make those deposits. And same here. So, excuse me. If you have that balance on the funds, then you're able to purchase some Bank to the Future tokens. If you've got an existing Bitcoin or Ethereum balance, you can see here that you'll be able to use those tokens as well to purchase. But if you click the buy button here, you'll be taken to this new page. And this is where essentially we've taken care of all the hard parts of purchasing it on exchanges and all the different parts there, and just created a real beautiful, easy user experience. So essentially, if you wanted to be a premium member or a premium plus member, or you wanted to get some Bank to the Future tokens so you can get a 50% discount on placing any of those trades, then essentially you can just select how you wish to pay for that, whether it takes the live market price from the exchanges using CoinMarketCap. And you can pay with either US dollars through a bank wire, or USDT through a tether payment, or if you've got some Bitcoin or Ethereum balance, you can use that as well. And it will take the live exchange rate. It will tell you the maximum that you can purchase. So we've currently got a maximum of 1 million Bank to the Future tokens per member. This is due to liquidity, and we can increase that as liquidity increases. And plus it corresponds to the utilities. So if you want to be a premium member, it's 10,000 Bank to the Future tokens. If you want to be a premium plus member, it's 100,000 Bank to the Future tokens. And then if you want to use some of those tokens for buying and selling on our secondary market, then you can purchase up to 1 million Bank to the Future tokens. You can click here, it will tell you the maximum, either based upon the balance that you have in your account or the maximum you have left to purchase. So here I could just put 1,000 or 10,000 Bank to the Future tokens. And then it will tell us what my membership status will be based upon how many tokens I hold. Click next, and it's just a real simple experience. It gives you the live exchange rate so you can see that. It tells you how much it will cost in either dollars, Bitcoin, or Ethereum. And you confirm the order, and it's as simple as that. We take care of the rest. You can see the transaction history here. And so this is just a really easy and simple way of purchasing Bank to the Future tokens at the live CoinMarketCap rate, and just making life easier for our members. And then we take care of all the bits of purchasing on an exchange and all that type of stuff. So it's a lot easier for you. So we're really happy to release that feature. That feature is now live for non-US customers. And we'll be taking feedback and opening up and new enhancements to that as it continues. So now it's never been easier to get your premium membership, your premium plus membership, or your tokens for buying and selling on the secondary market. So that's that feature. And we've got a blog here. Remember, on the new homepage, we list all our different products here. And this announcement page is where you can see all the different new things that we're releasing. And so this is where you can make sure that you're staying up to date. Here's what the Trello board looks like of our upcoming roadmap and features that we're currently working on, have been working on in the past, and where you can have your say and your suggestions about what you'd like us to be prioritizing. And here's the individual posts that we had about the new ways of purchasing Bank to the Future tokens. So before we go through portfolio news, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And Famida's going to pull out any questions that we might have, so we can take some of your questions. We're at the half-hour mark. I'm going to give a quick rest to my voice while Famida picks those out, and then we can cover the portfolio news as the final section.
Okie dokie.
Okay, I've already got through one bottle of water. Try not to drink
coffee. Honey in hot water. That's what I say. Okay, cool. So we've got quite a few questions in the live chat today. And so I'll start with the first one. Well, will this floor help get Coinbase back to the secondary market? Was that one of their conditions?
No, Coinbase doesn't want to have a secondary market as part of their strategy towards moving towards an IPO. So the Coinbase secondary market is not something that Coinbase want at this stage, as they are moving and pushing towards an IPO.
Thank you for that. if people buy BFT on Bank to the Future platform and there are no people to buy BFT on the exchange like Huobi, do you want to delist the token? And will there be a price rise even if the demand isn't there, or is there?
So no, we don't want to delist the token. The whole point in keeping Bank to the Future as a utility token is because that's, we want to use it for the use cases as opposed to it being an investment product. So and it being a security. So we have no intention of delisting that from the exchanges. But then remember, we don't control that process. If exchanges want to list the Bank to the Future token, it's an ERC20 token. Anybody has the ability to add it to their exchange or not. They can add it to either their centralized exchange or their decentralized exchange. And we've also been looking at many of the really interesting liquidity providers. For example, the DeFi space on Ethereum is so exciting right now. Some of the products that are coming out just baffle the mind. So there's things like Uniswap, where a liquidity pool for Bank to the Future token can be created. And people can actually get fees from market making for Bank to the Future token in a decentralized way. So it's really, really interesting to see some of these. So the answer is that I think as more and more, as the industry moves more and more and more, there's going to be more and more different liquidity pools that we can tap into to make it easy for people to be able to get their Bank to the Future tokens. So we're really excited about some of the things that are happening, and the fact that a lot of this is happening on Ethereum, and because Bank to the Future token is an ERC20 token, there's lots of liquidity pools to tap into as the DeFi and decentralized finance space evolves. So we're not too concerned about that.
Great, thank you for that. So the next question I have here, will the BFT sold on the platform come from the original reserve that was meant to reward members doing due diligence?
The rewards token pool is purely being used for rewards at the moment. We are not touching that for any other means. So no, the rewards pool is for rewards, and that's what it's for.
Pretty straightforward. Okay, so the last question I have here. So actually, are you going to give a portfolio update and then end the live today, or are you maybe, if we have time, would you come back to any more questions, because we do have other questions?
Yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah,
I don't mind either way, really. I'd like to get as many questions done as we have.
Okay. Yeah, because we have quite a few from previous weeks as well. Yeah. Okay, so the minimum investment is usually 1,000 USD. Can we have a pool fund for those that don't have up to 1,000 USD?
No, because if you can't afford to invest up to 1,000 USD, then you probably don't qualify as an investor on our platform. And really, it's one of those mechanisms for filtering, because securities laws say that when you sign up to our platform, you're agreeing that you are the equivalent of an accredited, qualifying professional, sophisticated, high net worth professional, whatever it might be in your jurisdiction, either through income, sophistication, or net worth. And therefore, if you are not in a position to be able to purchase a minimum of $1,000 in an investment on our platform, then it's unlikely that you're actually qualified to be able to invest. And remember, this is a high risk, high return asset class. And so this is not a product for those that are not in a position to be able to meet that minimum $1,000 threshold.
So going on from that then, Simon, I do actually get that a few times where people just email in and say, so when are you actually going to lower the bar? Do you think Bank to the Future will ever have like a different set and allow people to invest at a lower rate?
If security laws update around the world, then we'll update and we'll allow. I know that our UK brokerage team are currently applying for full retail permissions, but most regulators around the world have come from the place that this is not a product for retail. And the only way to change that is to give the same level of disclosures as a public company. and requiring the companies to meet the requirements of a public company and give all of the information is often something that a private company just is not in a position to be able to afford the investor relations and the requirements of a public company. So it is a problem with the markets. You have two types of companies. You have a public company and a private company. A public company have to spend an awful lot of money in order to meet disclosure requirements, financial requirements, investor relations requirements, audit requirements, and all sorts of stuff in order to meet the requirement the regulators have said that this is a product that's suitable to anybody. Or you have a private company, and a private company means that, excuse me, it lowers the bar in terms of your requirements, in terms of reporting information, auditability, all that stuff. But it can only be sold to people that can either afford to lose their money or can actually are in a position to be able to take on that risk. And each country has their own definition of who can afford to take on that risk, or who qualifies to invest in private companies. Traditionally, that's only been open to venture capital, but through Bank to the Future, we created a syndicate structure whereby qualifying investors can syndicate smaller amounts into one investment, but there's still restrictions on that. So if regulators all around the world decide that they're going to change the laws around public and private markets, which don't hold your breath, then we will open it up to as many as the regulators allow in that country. But we have to continue complying with securities laws. And as we get more and more different brokers within our network, then we'll, excuse me, we'll look to expand those permissions. But for now, it's a regulator question. You're looking for a change and a shift in terms of how the regulators view securities laws in the public markets and private markets.
Cool. So I mean, so what you're also saying is you're actually paying and buying an entire service and product and shares or investments.
Well, it's just the rules around who can actually invest. So we can only open this service up to who the securities law says we can open this up to. If you want us to open it up to a wider market, then all of the companies have to be public companies. And there are public companies are normally only very large companies like Uber and Coinbase are on their way to being it. And at that point, you get a much, much higher valuation for the company versus the earlier stage stuff, which is higher risk, higher return, but it's restricted in terms of who can actually invest because it's a private company rather than a public company. So if regulators start to say that early stage companies can now be open to all, then we will open to all, but that's not the laws of around the world at the moment.
All right, cool. Thank you very much for that. So actually, I have 2 live questions from previous lives that we've had and another maybe 15 questions. We're at 2:40 right now. How are you feeling about time?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah, cool. All right, so when can we expect to see Securitize STO? What is their market cap post Japan deals?
So if in terms of when Securitize are doing a security token offering, they haven't given any indication to us of when they're doing that or if they're doing that. I think they're probably waiting for the security token market to open up and be more liquid, because at the moment the security token market is very, very highly illiquid. So while us as an industry are looking to create that, we think at Bank to the Future, and why we want to launch the Bank to the Future X token BFXT is to show what a security token can look like that actually gets a lot more attention and a lot more adoption. And so really, I think Securitize are probably waiting for the market to catch up before they actually do stuff, but they're also very funded on a lot of investment. In terms of valuation, if you're an investor, then They are not actually disclosing publicly their valuation at the moment because they were under NDA from the large institutional investors that invested into the funding round. So some price sensitivity there on the information. As soon as they make that public to us, we will update the pricing on the Bank to the Future platform. And if you're a shareholder, you will be able to see that.
Okay, cool. Just to give you a heads up, Simon, I think your internet is a little bit lagging. Just thought I'd let you know. Okay, so yeah.
I think my voice has only got 15 minutes left in me as well.
Okay, all right, cool. I'll just ask a couple more questions, and then if you want to do the portfolio update, you can. Any plans to make a new equity round for Bank to the Future itself to go further, fuel growth and or acquisitions, and maybe take advantage of security tokens?
Yeah, so we announced very recently our intention to do a Bank to the Future BFXT, our security token. We're not going to be doing an equity round, but however, the way that we're structuring the product off the feedback is a significant portion of the token will be backed by Bank to the Future equity. So that would be our existing plan is to do a revenue share security token, whereby you get a percentage of the revenue from our old product lines like BnkToTheFuture.com and our new, more speculative product lines like Bank to the Future X, our security token exchange. And then an element of that will be backed by our equity in our holding company. And then we've got another few twists that we're going to be adding to the product based upon feedback that we'll be announcing over the coming months. So if you want to be notified of that first, then head over to our homepage, BnkToTheFuture.com. Click on the products and there's a BFX section, enter your email there, and we'll make sure that we notify you. And also make sure that you've got a qualifying account on Bank to the Future. You've done your verification, you've done your certification, and then you'll be ideally positioned for when we launch that.
Okay. I guess this is a question actually directed just at you, Simon. How do you feel about BitSpark shutting down?
It's always upsetting when one of our portfolio companies closes down. They made some public announcements. It was a bit of a shocker for us because they were on a really good growth path. I know George and Maxine personally. I spoke at their events in Hong Kong. And it's really unfortunate, but it kind of reminds us of the risks when investing in private equity, is that you're very much dependent upon the people behind the company. And so always, make an opinion about the people behind the company. And sometimes the board don't get along. And when one board member leaves, it creates an effect. I think they made the decision that rather than just carrying along and ending up spending all of the money, that it would be better off to cease trading, take all the assets that are left in the company and distribute those, whatever's left, through a liquidation proceeding to investors so that they can get something back. And I think that's a responsible way of doing things rather than just draining the cash to zero and then there being nothing for investors at the end. But it's always upsetting because George was, I think, one of the premier experts in how remittances can happen. I've done interviews with him in the past on our channel. It's always a shame when one of our portfolio companies doesn't quite make it, but it's the nature of the beast. When you're investing in private equity, be well diversified. You're looking in most cases, the most successful venture capitalists in the world will invest in 10 deals. 1 or 2 of them might go on to become a unicorn. 3 or 4 of them might go bust, and the rest just kind of continue chugging along in the middle. So it's a kind of a good reminder about diversification and the lessons around that. But it's a real shame because I think they were really onto something, and it's a shame that the board had that situation. But it's good to see the way they're handling it, and that there might be some kind of payout once all the liquidation proceedings have continued.
Okay. Is Kim aiming to raise other funds on Bank to the Future?
So K.IM is one of our portfolio companies. The last we heard is that they're looking to do an equity round, a private equity round. We haven't received any updates on the progress that they've made there. We tried to support them in doing a token sale offering, but the company took the opinion that that wasn't the right way to launch and the right timing of the market. So my understanding is that they're focusing on doing an equity raise right now. And if you're a shareholder there, any updates that we receive, we will be posting. I know last time I spoke to Kim, he was of the opinion that the crypto markets need to get more adoption for his product to go as viral as he would like it. So I think they're kind of busy building away, looking at a private equity round, and then looking to launch the product when he believes that the market timing is right.
Okay, so actually my last question to you comes from some support issues that we've had recently, and then maybe you can just move on to portfolio news if you like, if you still have the voice energy. So in terms of like giving updates for certain investments that investors have made, how do we go around, how do we get around that, and how do we like, I guess what I'm trying to say is there are some upset investors that, you know, we don't give regular enough updates. So how do we get around that? And what do you have to say on that, I guess? Simon, I believe you are on mute.
Okay, yeah, so we can only pass on what the company gives us. We are not the company, so we can't get updates where they are not given. However, what we are doing at the moment is we're actively increase the number of resources that we have to chase companies. So we're creating at the moment a template that our portfolio, we try to make it as easy as possible. So understand the nature of the problem. The nature of the problem is that companies are always, they only have so much time they can allocate to things. As an investor, you want a company that will give you updates and timely updates. At the same time, those updates can be used against them. So if they give too much information, that can be leaked in the public, that can be given to competitors. So companies are always paranoid about giving the right level of update and not too many updates where it can work against the business. The second thing is that they're always time starved. Larger companies have an investor relations department, and they invest a great deal of time in putting together timely updates. That's still no excuse. But I also empathize as a company founder with the challenge of every day you start with a billion things that everyone wants you to do. And making sure you have a good relationship with your investors is primarily important. But then every day you get faced with the new challenges of all the other things, especially being involved in the crypto sector, where your banking can be swiped in a second and you have to do all these new system building, or your developers might leave and you have to work with all these different challenges, finance, regulatory challenges, compliance challenges, HR challenges, accounting challenges. All of these things that are involved in a company and making it succeed. Sometimes the companies don't prioritize giving investor updates, and if you don't force it, sometimes it doesn't happen. So us as a company, we've reached the stage where we realize we need to force it harder, and we need to make it easier for companies to give those updates. One way we can do that is we can try and do interviews and make it, but then we have to invest significant resources in making sure with over 150 different portfolio companies that we don't promise something that we can't deliver upon. So we appreciate and we recognize that upset investors means that we don't end up, our goal is to create happy investors. We may fail at that, but we don't make any money as a company. We don't grow as a company if our investors don't repeat invest. So we need to, we try and do all we can to get those updates. And we've recently doubled the amount of resources that we'll be investing into the investor relations department to make sure that we can get those timely updates. So we think that you will see some improvements there, but we're just trying to explain to you the nature of the problem of it seems like an obvious, easy thing to do. But it is also a very challenging problem for us to overcome because we are not the company and we're trying to, squeeze out some time and attention from these extremely time deprived entrepreneurs that are trying to build these companies and increase shareholder value.
Great, thanks for that, Simon. I think you can take it over now if you like with portfolio news. You have 10 more minutes left. Just
okay, so in the last 10 minutes, thank you a lot for that, Famida. I think there were some really good questions that came out of that. I'm going to share my screen and get rid of my camera and just move over to the portfolio news that we have, the last remaining articles. So the first one was an announcement from Circle, two of our portfolio companies. So Circle is one of our portfolio companies. From what I can see, they are going through a lot of changes at the moment. And one of the things that they've recently did is they sold their OTC desk, which is the over-the-counter trading desk, to Kraken, which is our other portfolio company. Kraken seem to be doing incredibly well with their mergers, their acquisitions. And I think as a team, they're up to approximately 800 people. I got some time to spend with Jesse Powell in Satoshi Roundtable, and really, really impressed with some of the things that the company is going to be doing and working on as they become more and more of a dominant company. We're also shareholders in Circle, so we look forward to seeing to them what they're going to be focusing on. They own USDC, which is one of the largest stable coins behind Tether. And we look forward to seeing where they're going to be focusing next. But I think they seem to be selling off assets at the moment in order to regroup and decide what they're going to be focusing their energies and attention on. So there's an announcement there. And there we go. From the Kraken side, Kraken acquired the OTC trading desk, which expands the footprint of Kraken. Also, we had an announcement from Ripple raising 200 million in a Series C, which was led by the lead VC. And what was really interesting about that is that those that were purchasing Ripple Labs equity on our secondary market were getting it at about 4 times lower the price than the VCs were paying. So this kind of highlights one of the challenges that can arise when you have a market which might be trading at below the VC price. And this is one of the main reasons why we don't want to end up with mass delisting of companies from our secondary market by not introducing that price floor. So the price floor is good for the companies, good for the investors, and just is more in line with how private equity works versus public companies. So we really look forward to introducing that feature. And again, at the moment, anyone using our secondary market before we come out of beta and launch the price floor can obviously still get those liquidity discounts. Coinbase launches international cryptocurrency custody arm. So Coinbase making more and more of a foothold in the institutional side. For those of you that didn't see, we released a video where we did a panel with myself representing Bank to the Future, a representative from Coinbase, Binance US, Blockchain Capital, and Pantera Capital. And you can see with Coinbase, a lot of their focus is on the institutional side as they bring more and more institutional investors into the crypto industry. Also, Tether, the company behind that, Bitfinex, iFinex, they launched a gold-backed stable coin, and that started trading on Bitfinex as well. So really interesting to see these developments that are happening on that side as well. And I think that is all of our portfolio company updates. And as we said, so a quick summary of some of the things. I'm just going to remove the screen share and close off with my face. So as mentioned, some of the summary of what we've been doing. And again, sorry if my energy level isn't quite up to what it normally is. As I said, I've been recovering, but we haven't been live for quite a while, and I wanted to make sure that I got that done for you. We have the brand new Buy Bank to the Future token, really easy feature, live on the platform now for non-US members. We have the new portfolio feature design release for you to give your feedback on. We have the Trello board where you can see the roadmap and some of the things that we're working on. We are still increasing the utility of the Bank to the Future token with exploring some new DeFi solutions for those that own larger amounts of Bank to the Future tokens. We released several blogs. The Robinhood round is all closed. We're working on 5 new upcoming primary offerings. We're also working on features to make the secondary market more efficient. So then we can bring it out of beta. We can introduce the price floor so that you can then sell your shares at a profit or the existing price of the last funding round. And then we'll be able to add more and more markets to it, which then also increases more and more utility for the Bank to the Future token. We released the reward scheme, the loyalty program for the Bank to the Future token for those that own 100,000 plus of the tokens, and the Premium Plus membership. And also looking forward to bringing you the more professional studio setup that we'll be hoping coming to you around about May. Remember, 5 deals coming up on the primary markets. I think that one of those is definitely worth making sure that you're a premium member so that you don't miss out on that, because we're not sure how fast that's going to go. Lots of portfolio company news updates. And remember to check out our secondary market to diversify your portfolio into more of the successful companies in crypto. Companies live on the secondary market right now are the Shapeshift SPV, the Kraken SPV, Blockchain.com SPV, BitPay SPV, Bitfinex SPV, and Ripple Labs SPV. So that's about as far as my voice will go. I got through 2 bottles of water. Sorry if the energy isn't quite exactly what you're used to, but I just wanted to get live and make sure that you get that content, and I'm doing it here from the hotel. So that's going to do it for episode 49 of Bank to the Future Live. Remember, if you're watching the recording of this, still use the comments feature. We'll be picking up those questions next week as we go live each and every week on Bank to the Future Live. Thank you, Famida, for bringing out lots of questions. The more questions you have, the more interactive, the more we can dictate the flow of this. And next week, hopefully, we'll be interviewing one of the people on the show from the new deal that I'm very excited about coming live soon. So thank you all for your time, and that's going to do it for episode 49 of Bank to the Future Live. We'll see you next week for episode 50.